Welcome to the Principles Experience. This channel is designed to give you financial content in the areas of business, finance, and investing, while bringing you stories of the mindset of entrepreneurs and their tips on building the business. Sit back and learn on how you can develop your financial wisdom and create a blueprint for financial freedom. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another edition of the Principles Experience. My name is Kevin Jenkins, and I have a special episode outlined for you all today. I'm going to be doing a cash giveaway at the end of this video. I'm going to explain the requirements of how you can enter into the random drawing, and I'm going to be doing a cash giveaway, and it's going to be for one special viewer, so definitely stay tuned for that. As for this episode, I want to discuss why ownership makes a difference and why you need to have the right infrastructure in place to set yourself up for success within your business. Now, when you're creating a business, you have many different business structures on how you can be able to develop that. You can develop what's called a limited liability company, which is an LLC. You can do a sole proprietorship. You can do a partnership, or you can even do a corporation such as a CS or a B Corp. In this video, I'm just going to highlight specifically an LLC, how that process is and what are some of the advantages with it. I'm also going to talk on corporations, specifically a C Corp. That's one of the most common corporations that you will see. And then I'm also going to go over trademarks, patents, and copyrights, which are ways of how you can be able to protect your intellectual property. Now, before I move forward with talking about an LLC, I wanted to briefly explain what a C Corp is. So when it comes to a C Corp, an individual has the option of forming a legal entity that's separate from its owners. Corporations, they can make profits that are taxed, and they are held legally liable. Corporations, they tend to offer the strongest protection to its owners from personal liability, but the costs are higher than any other business structure. Now, with corporations, it tends to be more extensive record keeping, operational processes, and also reporting. Now, unlike sole proprietorships, partnerships, and LLCs, corporations, they do have to pay income tax on their profits, and corporate profits are sometimes taxed twice. So it's usually first when a company makes a profit, and second when they pay a dividend to their shareholders. And it's usually on their personal tax returns whenever they're paying their dividends to their shareholders. Now, corporations, they could be a great choice for medium or higher risk businesses. Businesses that need to raise capital, and businesses that plan to go public or eventually be sold. A lot of people, when they form a corporation, they want to be able to add value to the shareholders. So usually if you are looking to want to form a company where you want it to be publicly traded, then that is a great option to go with. Now, I did want to go ahead and discuss the importance of forming and setting up an LLC. Now, what's great about an LLC is it combines the characteristics of a corporation, but you also have the characteristics of a partnership and a sole proprietorship. And just to give you a brief overview of what a partnership is, it's usually when two or more people form a business, and then a sole proprietorship is pretty much you're the person individually, you're creating a company, and it's just you. And I know when it comes to sole proprietorships, a lot of times the business assets and the liabilities are not separate from your personal assets and liabilities. Everything is all together, and it does not produce a separate business entity. So pretty much what that means is you will be held responsible for the debts and obligations of the business. And a lot of times when people do decide to do a sole proprietorship, they usually want to test their business idea before they form it into a more business structure. So when it comes to an LLC, the biggest difference is your personal assets and your business assets are completely separated. Owners are not personally liable for the company's debts or liabilities. In LLCs, you can also elect to not pay federal taxes. You will have to pay state taxes, but it's great that you can avoid the federal taxes because, I know as a business owner, I'm always looking at ways of how I can lower my tax bill. Now, instead, what usually happens with an LLC, the profits and the losses are listed on the personal tax returns of the owners. Now, when you're filing an LLC, you usually have to fill out what's called an articles of organization with your specific state. This has to be both filed and documented within the state. And these articles, they set up the rights, the duties, the powers, the responsibilities, the liabilities, and also the other obligations of the members a part of the LLC. Now, other information you will tend to see on an LLC application is the name and addresses of the LLC's members, the name of the LLC's registered agent, and also the business statement of purpose. Now, it's much easier to set up an LLC as comparison to a corporation, and it provides much more flexibility and protection. Now, I know for the state of Florida, the cost for setting up an LLC is about $125, which isn't bad at all. The time it takes to approve your application is usually 2 to 5 business days. In some states, it can take up to 7 to 10 business days. And, you do have to plan accordingly when you're looking at filing for an LLC because you can expect more volume during the end and also in the beginning of the year. Now, when your LLC is approved, you're provided with an EIN number. What that stands for is the Employee Identification Number. And that's pretty much the Social Security number for your business. That's how your business is identified within the system. Now, some of the reasons why business owners tend to want to form an LLC is because it limits the principal's liability. Also, the fees are much lower as compared to a corporation, and you also have more protection, like I said. Now, the biggest difference compared to a partnership is with an LLC, your personal and business assets are separated. With a partnership, they are not. So business owners, they tend to like that feature with an LLC because they're not responsible for the debts and the liabilities of the company. Now, one thing that I did want to point out, when you're looking to form a business is eventually, if you are looking to become a publicly traded company, forming an LLC is not the best option. Like I mentioned, with a corporation, you will more want to form that business structure if you are looking to become a publicly traded company. So if that is a goal of yours, I will recommend, going a corporation route. If you're just looking at developing an LLC and you're not looking to have any shareholders and you want to keep your personal and your business assets separated, I would definitely recommend an LLC. So now that we have talked about the different types of business structures that you can set up within your company, I wanted to go over trademarks. Now, trademarks are usually used for words, symbols, devices, or names that are used to distinguish the goods of one manufacturer or seller from another. Now, if you create any distinctive symbol, name, or word is designated by a trademark symbol at the end of it. Now, a trademark does not provide any legal protection. If someone has produced a similar name or an image, the original company, they will have to prove that they created the idea or design first. So that's why I will recommend doing a registered trademark. Now, what a registered trademark is usually, it's a federal registration. So it's a trademark that is protected against another company use of the name or image. And the registered trademark is a federal and a legal registration of the mark. And a lot of times, if you look at logos that you see on the products that you have in your home, even if you're looking on TV and you see commercials, you'll usually see either a TM or an R symbol next to either the word or the name or the symbol. And that kind of tells you, how the company is structured. Now, this is a great option, because you want to have that legal protection if someone is trying to mirror your idea or take your symbol or your name or any likeness, when it comes to your design. having that legal protection is very important, especially in the court of law. Now, trademarks, they can be registered through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. First, you have to search the online database to determine that your mark is not claimed or has been taken. Once you have determined that your trademark is unique, then you can fill out the trademark application and you can present a representation of the mark. One key thing to remember with the representation of the mark, always make sure that you either have a business card where you're showing the trademark being in use, or anything on clothing such as merch, because the mistake that I made when I tried filing the trademark, I didn't do that and I wasn't able to get it processed. Instead, what I did was I took a t-shirt template online and I put my logo on it, and I thought that that would suffice within my application, but it didn't work. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, the registration process, it can be long. It usually can take about 4 months to receive a response to your application. Now, registration, it usually lasts 10 years, which is a very good amount of time, but it must be verified between years 5 and 6 to show that the mark is still in use. Now, secondly, I wanted to discuss patents. Now, patents are usually for an invention to grant the property right to the inventor. So this is also issued by the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and a new patent can last for 20 years from the date on which the application for the patent was filed within the U.S. Now, there are usually 3 types of patents. The first is a utility patent, and it's granted to anyone who invents or discovers any new and useful process, machine, or any new and useful improvement thereof. The next you have is what's called a design patent, and this is granted to anyone who invents a new, original, and creative design for an article of manufacturer. The third and final is a plant patent, and this may be granted to anyone who invents or discovers a new variety of plant. Now, the last concept that I did want to go over is copyrights. Now, this one is big, especially for individuals that want to own the rights to, their original works of their writing, music, art, or any intellectual property. Now, copyrights, they can be used for published and published works. And a copyright, it gives the owner the exclusive right to reproduce the work. They can also prepare derivative works, distribute copies, as well as perform and display the work publicly. Now, copyrights, they require no publication or registration with the U.S. Copyright Office, but there are advantages with filing it with the Copyright Office. And those advantages are, it establishes a public record of the copyright holders' ownership, and it also enables copyright holders to sue infringers in the federal court. Now, to register your piece, all you would simply do is you will file an original claim to the U.S. Copyright Office by completing an online registration or filling out the Form CO. Now, a copyright's protection, it generally lasts for the life of the authors plus an additional 70 years. So definitely, if you're looking at doing a copyright, I would say file it with a copyright office, because the last thing you want to do is have someone that tries to take, whether it's your work, your writing, your music or art, even your intellectual property. Protecting your assets is very important, especially as a business owner and when you're working in entrepreneurship. Now, I did want to highlight the point of copyrights as it pertains to the music industry. I read an article online that I thought was very interesting, and it was regarding 50 Cent. He recently lost an appeal to Rick Ross over the In the Club remix. And back in 2015, 50 Cent filed a lawsuit against Rick Ross using In the Club to promote his 2015 album Black Market for his Renzel Remixes mixtape. And 50 Cent basically claimed that Ross was exploiting his likeness, and he sued him $2 million for copyright infringement. Now, the case was originally dismissed in 2018. However, 50 Cent, he filed for an appeal, and the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals decided that 50 Cent, he didn't own the rights to the song In the Club. And this was determined last month, August of 2020. And the rights of the song for 50 Cent In the Club belongs to his former label Shady Records, which is Eminem's record label, and also Aftermath Records, which is Dr. Dre's label. And 50 Cent basically lost the appeal to Rick Ross because he had no legal control of the song based on his original recording contract. So this really showcases the importance of ownership and how it can be played out in the federal court. That's why it's important to make sure that your copyrights are filed and that you own all of the rights to your creativity, to the work that you create. Now, I also wanted to mention one last story of ownership that I found online. Back in the early 80s, Michael Jackson, he had a conversation with Paul McCartney regarding publishing. And basically what Paul McCartney told Michael Jackson was the only real way to make money in the music industry is to basically own the publishing of hit songs. So Jackson, he basically joked with him and said, I'm going to own the rights to not only your songs, but also, the Beatles as well. And I thought it was very creative and interesting that's exactly what he ended up doing. And with music publishing, usually a music publisher, they own the rights to a song's lyrics and composition. And whenever a song is performed, if it's on the TV or radio, whenever it's played during a commercial, the publisher receives what's called royalties. And Michael Jackson, he acquired all of these different royalties from all of these different publishing songs that he owned from 1985 all the way to 2006. Now, in 1985, he purchased ATV Publishing for $47.5 million. And at the time, they had a catalog of 4,000 songs, including more than 200 songs by the Beatles. He also owned the rights to Lennon McCarthy's catalog, as well as Elvis and also the Rolling Stones. So not only did Michael Jackson purchase ATV Publishing, but he also merged it with Sony in 1995 for a 50-50 joint venture. And it just was a complete boss move on Michael Jackson's part. And he not only owned the rights to all the songs on ATV's catalog, but he also had a 15% stake in more songs with Sony. So this honestly, in my opinion, had to be one of the most strategic business moves in Michael Jackson's music career. And it just really gives you an example of, how ownership can truly make a difference. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. I thank you so much for you all for watching. I just briefly wanted to go over the requirements for the cash giveaway. So like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I will be rewarding one special viewer $50. I'm going to send it via Cash App. All you have to do is, for the requirements is you have to subscribe and like this video. You also have to share this YouTube video on either your Instagram's story or your news feed and tag me in it at Kev and Jenkins, all lowercase. I'll have it in the show notes and my link tree, so you'll be able to find my Instagram. And that's just so I can see that you tagged me in it. And the second requirement is you have to just simply comment on the video. So that's pretty much it. It's simple enough. If you definitely want to take advantage of the cash giveaway, I will be sending $50 via Cash App. So definitely take advantage of it. I know my viewers are going to get on it pretty quickly. Like I mentioned, I will put the link tree in the show notes, so you'll be able to have access to all of my other platforms to be able to stream this content, as well as my Instagram. And I just want to tell you thank you all, and I'll be announcing the winner this week. See you soon.